Hello students, my name is Catherine Kiarie. I will be taking you through the unit known as ICT Project Management from the School of Computing and Informatics. Our topic for today is on human resource management. So from the previous topics that you have covered there before, remember we said as a project manager, there are key areas you need to be very competent on so that the project can be a success. One of the key knowledge areas or key competencies of ICT projects is human resource management. So remember, previously we have said, of course, ICT projects are carried out, of course, using both hardware and software. You need technology as an enabler to be able to carry out this project effectively. But even if this project is being carried out using computers, the human element or the people who are going to be carrying out this project are very, very critical. So we'll be looking at human resource management processes, because when you have a team that is motivated carrying out a project, it is very critical, and of course the project will be a success. So today we are going to be looking at human resource management processes, and for the introduction bit, let's see what human resource management entails. So we are going to look at all those processes that are required so that you can make effective use of the people that are involved in this project. So the people that are involved in this project, we could be having sponsors, we could be having stakeholders, or even individual contributors that are going to have an impact or that are going to contribute towards the success of this project. So we are going to look at human resource management processes. And on these human resource management processes, we are going to divide them into three. So the human resource planning processes, we are going to divide them into three. So the first process, we are going to be looking at organizational planning. The second process that we'll be looking at is staff acquisition, or how you acquire the team that is expected to be working on the project. And the third process is team development. So we go to the first process and expound on it more on organizational planning. So basically we need to look at what is organizational planning. What do we need as an input to organizational planning? What are the tools and techniques that can help us when you're carrying out organizational planning? And when you carry out organizational planning, what will be your output? So basically we are saying organizational planning involves identifying, documenting, and assigning project roles, responsibilities, and of course reporting relationships that you are going to assign to individuals or to the different groups. So we need to look at the input. When you're carrying out this organizational planning, what will be your input, or what will help you as you carry out organizational planning? One of the key input to organizational planning is the project interface. So the project interface follow in one of these three categories, and the first category is what we call organizational interface. So we normally have formal and informal reporting relationships among different organizational interface units. And of course, as part of project interface, we have technical interface, and this entails formal and informal reporting relationship among different technical disciplines. Remember, when you are carrying out a project, we have different technical disciplines. It could be engineering, it could be IT, or whichever technical discipline that you are carrying out that project on. And another important project interface is interpersonal interface. So these are formal and informal reporting relationships among different individuals working on the project. Whom do you report to when you are working on these projects? So project interface is a very important input to organizational planning. Another important input to organizational planning is staffing requirements. So what kind of skills are required from the different individuals that are going to be carrying out on this project? So staffing requirements, we need to understand the different skills that are required to the different team members who are required to be carrying out this project. Another important input to organizational planning is constraints. Of course, different projects are usually constrained in a number of ways. There are a number of common factors that may may constrain how a project team will be organized. So it includes things like organizational structure, collective bargaining agreements, of course, expected staffing assignments, and preferences of the project manager. Because if you are a project manager, if you have worked on another project previously, and of course, this team has been a success, you wouldn't mind working on a similar project with the same team. So that is a first important input. The first 3 input to organizational planning, we have said it is project interface, staffing requirements, and project constraints. When it comes to organizational planning, what are the tools and techniques that can help us when you're carrying out this process we are calling organizational planning? Of course, template is an important tool. Remember, when you're carrying out a project, most projects will resemble another project that has been done there previously. So you can use templates of existing projects to help you get to understand the concept of organizational planning. Of course, we have human resource practices. Of course, different organizations normally have different human resource practices. Of course, different organizations have different procedures, guidelines, and of course, when it comes to selecting the project team, which are the procedures that are carried out. So you can use existing human resource management practices to help you when you're carrying out this process of organizational planning. Another tool and technique that is important when you're carrying out organizational planning is organizational theory. Remember that there is a substantial body of literature describing how an organization or even how an organization should be structured. And of course, another tool that is important is stakeholders analysis. So the needs of stakeholders, all the stakeholders that are involved all have an interest to the success of this project. You need to analyze keenly what are the needs of the stakeholders so that you make sure that their needs are met. So these 4 are very critical tools and techniques that can help us when it comes to organizational planning. We move to the next. What is the output? When you carry out this process we are calling organizational planning, what will you get as the output? By the end of the day, you'll have roles and responsibilities assignment. So you will have project roles having been assigned, as in terms of who will be doing what. And of course, which responsibilities, who decides what must be assigned to an appropriate project team member. So by the end of the day, you will have project roles and responsibilities assignment. Another important output you will get when you do organizational planning is what we call staffing management planning. So you will be describing when and how human resources will be brought onto and taken from the project team. Because when you're carrying out the project, of course, every project has a definite start and a finish date. So depending on the duration and the needs of this project, you will be bringing in people to work on the project. And of course, when the project is complete, there is no need of people hanging around. Of course, they can be relocated to other departments or they can be taken off from the project team. Another output to organizational planning is organizational chart. Every organization have a graphic display of project reporting relationship, or what we call organizational chart, just the graphic display of the project reporting relationship. Who reports to who? If you are the team member, maybe you have a number of several people who are working under you or who are reporting to you. So organizational chart is a very important input to organizational planning. Another important input is supporting detail. So supporting detail normally vary by the application area of the project and even the project size, because projects are big, small, or even medium. So supporting details, it is in terms of the organizational impact. What impact will this project have on the organization? We have the job descriptions. We have described different job description requirements and the training needs that are required for the different project team members who are going to be carrying out these projects. So these 4 are very, very important output when you carry out this process we are calling organizational planning. Now we go to our second process. After organizational planning being our first process of human resource management processes, our second process is staff acquisition. We need to acquire the people who are going to work on this project. So staff acquisition will deal with getting the human resources, whether it is individuals or whether it is a group of individuals that will be needed to work on the project. Because you could be having individual project team members, or you could be having a group of project team members. So you need to acquire these people or individuals that are required to be working on the project. So in staff acquisition, as our second process to human resource management processes, we are going to be looking at what is the input to staff acquisition. What are the tools and techniques that can help us when you're doing staff acquisition? And what is the output when we do staff acquisition? What will we have as the output by the end of the day? So for the input to staff acquisition, we are going to have staffing management plan. So what does staff management plan entail? It includes all the project staffing requirements. Another input to staff acquisition is staffing pool description. Remember, when you are hiring people to work on the project, there are key things that you look at. Things to do with maybe previous work experience, things to look with personal interest, availability. Are you available immediately? Will you be available for the next 2 months and the like? So all these needs to be catered for when it comes to staff pool description. When the project team management is able to influence all direct staff assignment. So you need to consider all these characteristics when you are getting people to work on your project. Look at the previous experience. So do these people that are working on these projects, how many years of experience, or have they worked on similar projects before? Look at personal interest. Look at their availability. Will they be available immediately to work on your project? Look at personal characteristics, and of course recruitment practices, because every organization has its own recruitment practices that guide that act as a guideline or procedures that are usually followed when they are doing recruitment. So these will be very important input to staff acquisition. Now we can look at tools and techniques that can be able to help us when you are doing staff acquisition. So for the tools and techniques for staff acquisitions, we have negotiations. So of course staff assignments must be negotiated in most of these projects. We have pre-assignments. In most cases, staff may be pre-assigned to the project as the need arises. And of course, another important tool and technique for staff acquisition is resource leveraging. That is whereby you can delay some tasks so that you can create smooth distribution of the project, of the resources that you have. In essence, it is to make sure that when you have an urgent project that needs to be carried out, you can delay some activities so that you can have a smoother distribution of resource usage. And of course, we have project procurement. You can acquire staffing from outside the performing organization. If your in-house team do not have the skills that are needed to be able to complete this project, of course you can get, or an organization can acquire services outside the performing organization if you do not have the resources, or if your in-house staff do not have the skills needed to be able to complete the project. So these are the critical tools and techniques that can help us when it comes to staff acquisition. Now, after we do staff acquisition, what are we going to get as the output to staff acquisition? One of the key outputs to staff acquisition, you will have project staff assigned. The project staff will be assigned to the people who are qualified and people who can be able to reliably work on the project. So by the end of the day, you will have project staff assigned. Another key output will be project team directory. So you'll have a directory just listing the team members, the reporting relationship, their qualifications, their work experience, and the like. So you will have a directory of all the project team members and the key stakeholders, and every individual who has a positive or who is making a contribution towards the success of this project. So these are very critical outputs to staff acquisition. We move now to our third process. Our third human resource management process is team development. Now that you have your project team, you need to develop this team so that when people are working on a project, of course you need to make sure that your team is motivated, because when you're working on a project and you have a team that, yes, they have the required skills and they are motivated and they are well rewarded, of course rewarding excellence, this team is likely to meet the project objectives. So let's look at this process that is called team development and see what team development entails. Team development includes both enhancing the abilities of stakeholders to contribute as an individual to the success of a project, as well as enhancing the ability of a team to function as a team. Of course, a team that is working in unison, a team that is united, and a team that is working has togetherness, of course, the success of that project is usually very high. So let's look at what team development entails. So we are going to look at the input to team development, tools and techniques that can help us when you're doing team development, and the output to team development. So on the input to team development, what do you need? We need project staff as a critical input to team development. So what does project staff entail? It entails defining the individual skills and team skills that are available, that can be worked upon or that can be improved. Another input to team development is project plan. It will describe the technical context to which this project team operates. Another key input to team development is staffing management plan. So this is a document that will talk about all HR requirements that will be met for the project. And another key input to team development is performance reports. They will provide feedback to the project team about performance against the project plan. And of course, external feedback. Project team need to be periodically measured against some performance expectations of those outside the project, so that the project team members can know how they are performing, how are they rated by the recipients of the project that they are working on. So these 5 inputs are very important to team development. Now we can look at tools and techniques that can help us in team development. So for tools and techniques that can help us in team development, we have team building activities. So of course, this is just to bring in cohesiveness and togetherness of the team. So we can have team building activities just to be able to improve the team performance. Another tool and technique that can help when you're doing team development for your project team is general management skills. General management skills include all those conflict management skills, leadership skills, risk management skills, among communication skills, among the many other. Another tool and technique that can help you when you're doing team development is reward and recognition systems. Of course, you need to reward excellence. When there is a team member who is performing very well, of course, you can reward excellence, whereby you can have maybe Employee of the Year award. And when you are working on similar projects, everybody will be working so that they can be rewarded next time. So reward and recognition systems can be able to promote, or rather can be able to encourage the project team members to work hard. And of course, we have training. Training is enhanced, or rather is aimed at enhancing skills and the knowledge and the capabilities of the project team members. And of course, we also have collocation. You place the most active project team members, those team members who are working very well, who are excellent in their performance, so that you can be able to enhance their ability to work as a team. So these 5 tools are very, very important when it comes to team development. Now we can look at the output. When you do team development, what are we going to get as the output to team development? One of the key output is performance improvement. Now that we have a motivated team working on a project, now that we have done, remember we have done team building activities, we have rewarded excellence, those people who are performing well, we have trained our project teams so that they can enhance on their skills. What are we going to get as the output to team development? Of course, we'll have performance improvement. So improvement can come from many sources and can affect many areas of project performance. We will have individual improvement, and of course we'll also have group improvement, whereby you will enhance this team to be able to work together as a team, and of course it will be an important input to performance appraisal. That is, we are saying project staff should be generally provide input to performance appraisal, and of course the project team should be able to interact well. So as an input to team development, we have performance improvement and input to performance appraisal. So what are the different tools and techniques that can help us when you are managing project teams? Remember, we have said this team, the human resource, or rather the people who are working on the project, they need to be managed well for the success of the project. And remember, we said the project manager is the overseer. He's the one who is working to make sure that the team members are working well. He has selected the right team. And of course, we can use, as a project manager, you can use these tools and techniques to help you manage your project team. You can use observation and conversation. So you can use techniques like management by walking aloud, so that you can manage project team and even observe them as they work. How are they working? You can use that to manage your project team. Another tool you can use is informal and formal conversation. So talk about how is the project going on, whether you are talking about it formally, that is in form of meetings, or having just a casual conversation with your project team in regard to the progress of this project. And of course, another tool that can help you when you're managing your project team is conflict management. It is very, very important to know how to manage conflict, and as a project manager you need to be proactive, because when people are working together in a project, conflicts will arise. So it is important to manage conflicts so that they do not affect the success of a project. And another tool and technique that is important for managing a project team is issue logs. You need to document, you need to monitor and to track issues that needs to be resolved on a project, so that the project team can work effectively.
These televised lectures supplement our robust online learning going on our MKU online platform. You can view more on our televised lectures via our online platform. We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.